y'all, it's Charlene from the Crafty Art Shack, and we're here today with another challenge video. This one today, we're supposed to make an ornament with a meaning. So let's get to the craft desk and get started. Let's go. Alright guys, here we go with DIY number 1. Now we're going to cut some ornaments out of these blinds, and this is a new set of blinds that I got. You can tell the color's different, and what I did is I cut them down into 12-inch strips. Now you guys, you can only use 4 of them because the last 4 inches you got to have it empty because you have rollers on your Cricut machine. And here we go, we're going to lay out our design on our mat, and where we place these is going to depend on where they cut on our blinds, so we want to make sure that we put them in the right spot. So what I did is I went back in here in order to group these so that they do what you want them to do. See how I picked that up and I moved it? They're grouped, so you have to go up here to the top and you have to select them first and then go over and ungroup them. And once you ungroup them, then you're going to go and move back to your mat, and once you get here, now you can move them where you want to. And if you look at the numbers on your side of your mat, you'll be able to gauge where you want these to be put on the mat so that you can adjust them to where you want it to cut. So what I'm doing is I'm rearranging them right now on the mat, and I don't know what's going on. And putting them into place. Now your blinds are about 2 inches, and I was giving myself 4 inches and cutting these in half. Now you want to make sure you cut them in half at the right spot, because if you don't, then your antlers or whatever, you may be having some small pieces on your blinds. But some of these fit on 1 blind and some of them had to be on 2. So after you, I was looking at my mat and measuring where I wanted them. Now this looks good. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on, turn on my machine and click on, I'm waiting for it to come up. There we go. Okay, now you're going to pick your base material. Now the one that you want to pick is the heavy chipboard 2.0 millimeter. Now you're not going to need to make all the cuts that it says. Just watch your machine, and as you see that it's going through the material, then you're ready to go. And you just click on your little Cricut emblem on your machine and it starts detecting it, and then it'll start cutting all of your little pieces out. Now I got these little Petri dishes from the thrift store, a whole bag of them for $1. They are sterilized, they are clean, and I cleaned them again. And what we're going to do now is measure out the diameter. The diameter is the width all the way across the item that we are using, and it's 3.5 inch diameter. So I wanted to make sure that my design was going to fit on to at least 2 of my blinds. Now why I am going back and doing this right now is because I'm checking for placement. Now that I know what the placement is going to look like, I'm going to take out my little Petri dish, one of the little things off the mouse traps, and then I'm going to take my Petri dish and put a hole in it because I need that little mouse trap wire to go down in there. These are the parts off the mouse trap. I have other videos where it shows that I use those, and what I'm doing is I'm closing up that little loop a little bit, and then I'm going to bend this into a shape so that when I put it through the hole, it's not going to come back out even if the glue fails. And so I'm bending it into place, and I'm kind of making like a little zigzag thing. So here I'm putting it in. Now you see it makes it where it won't come out if the glue fails. And then the next thing I'm going to do is take my hairspray. Now, you guys, there's a lot of hairsprays out there on the market. This is the only one I can use that I'm not allergic to. And I'm going to spray my Petri dish. And then I'm going to take my fine, extra fine glitter, and I'm going to go around the inside of my Petri dish because I want to make sure I have good coverage so that my little fairy lights that I'm going to put in this in just a minute are not going to show, and neither is that mousetrap hanger going to show. And then I'll do the same thing to the top of my lid as well. And then I'll put the extra fine glitter in that as well. And I'm going to have to get more glitter out. And this glitter came from Michael's. I just happened to be by Michael's and I didn't want to have to go over to another store, so I just got it here. It's not the cheapest place to get the glitter, but you know, it works. Sometimes you just want to, you need to stop and, yeah. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm taking out my little fairy lights, and I started out by, I tested them, made sure they worked, and then I started wrapping them around a little container that was round, that was smaller than the diameter I had, and that didn't really work. So the next time I opened them up, I just kind of fanned them out like you see me doing here. And this works so much better because it kind of puts the lights in more of a place than just around the perimeter. Then I take one of the little wire ties, tie it back up, and I'm going to stick that inside of my Petri dish. But the first thing I want to do is I want to go back and I want to glue this in now. Now I'm going to just take hot glue and put a dab at the top and a dab down towards the other piece so it doesn't wiggle around. And then once that dries, I'm going to go put my fairy lights in. Now that that's dry, what I'm going to do is take my little fairy lights and put them down in there. If they don't fit, kind of squish them around so that they do. And then I'm going to run that light to the outside, the box, so that they can change out their lights at any time. And I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on the back of it because I wasn't sure whether I wanted this to be permanent or not at this point. And then I'm going to run that rest of that wire back inside the little Petri dish. Then I'm going to glue, if you notice, I glued a little magnet to the back of that. And the reason why is I wanted them to be able to use this all year long and put it on the refrigerator if they wanted to. Now I'm taking and running a bead of hot glue all the way around the edge of this Petri dish to seal it up. You guys, there's plenty of room in there in that Petri dish to run the wire through there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of that burlap ribbon that came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to wrap it all the way around the outside of this. And I do go back and hot glue it some more because I noticed that it wasn't sticking. And also something really important when you're gluing this together is you want to make sure that your power switch to your batteries is right there at your hanger so that this hangs right, and so that if they put it on the refrigerator, it sits right. Now what I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to make a little box for these to go into. I'm making me a pattern to see how big of a box that I need to make. And if you take a piece of paper, just fold it diagonally across and tear off that extra strip, then you know how big to make your box. And I'm going to make it out of these blinds. So what I'm doing here is I'm measuring out to make sure by the size of my piece of paper how long I want my sides to be. Now all four sides should be exactly the same if this is a cubed box, and that's what we were making. So now I've got all four pieces to the side of my box done, and I'm just taking my fingernail file that I glued sandpaper to, and I'm just sanding off the edges, making sure it's smooth, and then I'll flip it over and sand with the other side of that nail file as well. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start putting this together. Now I get out my little square to see how I want them to be, and I decide that I am going to put a a little dowel rod in the in each of the corners to give this something to glue to. And those are the dowel rods I use, and I just cut them to the length of one of the blinds. And you need 4 of these. Once you get all of these cut, then you're going to want to glue them to your edges. I'm just putting hot glue on them for now because I'm going to go back and reinforce this box later on and add more glue to this so that it's more permanent. And this is really, you know, you can just buy a box and put these things in it. You don't have to do this. But I was here and I was waiting on my Cricut to cut my designs, so this is what I'm doing. You see, I got all everything else for my ornaments ready to go. After you get your box made, and this is going to seem a little flimsy at this point, but once you get this made and all this glued together, then you're going to make a bottom for your box. And when you do that, that's where your stability is going to start coming in. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to get out some more blinds, and we're going to measure how long we need them to go from one side of the box to the other. Now I'm going to get back out my piece of paper that I started with, and I'm going to lay out my little blinds to see how many I need to go across the bottom of my project, and it looks like it's going to be about 5 slats. Then I'm going to need 2 slats to make the rest of the bottom of the box. And how big your box is depends on what size ornaments you're making, so there's really no measurements. You're just going to need blinds to do it with. If you don't want to go through all this trouble of making your own little box, then go ahead and just purchase a box from the Dollar Tree. They have plenty of them. Now I'm using my E6000 here on this part because this is what's going to make it start becoming more sturdy once I place it on the bottom of my box. Now I'm going to go and add regular hot glue as well. Now you want to make sure you don't get too close to the edges because you want to leave room. This is going to go inside the inside of your box, so you don't want this to be, you want your edges to fit around, so you got to make sure you leave it wide enough. See what I'm saying? Those pieces got to fit on there, and if they don't, you're going to have to cut them off like I did because I didn't measure. And look at there, they're too short, but that's okay, we're going to fix it. Okay, so here I am. I'm trying to take off these pieces that I put on, and you guys, that I hot glued that and did the E6000, and by the time I cut this off, it was stuck. It was not coming off. You know, this is what you get for getting ahead of yourself, and I'm always good for that. And you know, look at that. That box is not fitting on there right, and so I got to trim up the edge because it's too long, which I knew it was going to be too long, but then I couldn't figure out why it was too short when I laid it out on my little square that I have, my square piece of paper. So I'm cutting the edges of this off, and then I'm going to start putting E6000 all the way around all 4 corners, even though that's short. We're going to fix that, and I'm going to show you how we're going to fix it. Okay, after I put the E6000 on there and get it where I want it, now I'm going to go take hot glue and secure it. Now, if you're looking at that, you can see that white paper peeping through there. You can see where it's short on that edge, and I'm going, oh, why didn't I just buy a box? But I was still waiting on my Cricut, so I figured, oh, I'm going to keep on working on this. So what I did is I got out those dowel rods again, and I'm going to lay them on the edges where it's too short to cover that up. And this is going to fix this. In order to fix that gap, before I can put those dowel rods on there, I'm going to need to fix the bottom of this. So I take out one of my other blinds that has a contrasting color, and I go through and cut out 4 strips of these little pieces that are the width of my ruler, and I'm going to use those and trim out the bottom of the box. Okay, so then I mitered the corners with my miter shears, and I've got 4 pieces of these, and I'm going to glue all 4 pieces down with E6000 and hot glue. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So this is what it's going to look like once you get them glued down. See how I covered up that gap on the inside? I know it's got to be fixed, but you know that saying, how would they know? How would they know this was a mistake? Now you see I didn't quite get my miter right, so I had to fix that. And I'm going to put them all down and glue them down. Now when I get that done, you're looking at the side, and I didn't like how that side looked, so I took these dowel rods and I put some more E6000 on there. You guys, by the time I got all this glue on there, this thing was not flimsy. And you know, how would they know it was a mistake? How would they know? I love that saying, how would they know? All right, guys, my Cricut finished, and I got all my little pieces glued down on my little ornaments, and now I'm going to embellish them. I'm going to take some of that twine, get rid of all the fuzzies, and then I'm going to glue that down. Each one of them is going to have a piece of twine and some little berries on it, and each one of them is a little bit different because they have the deers are doing something different, and the burlap ribbon that I put around them is different on each one. You guys, these turned out so cute. And I'm going to embellish them with a piece of greenery, and then I'm going to put the little berries back on it. And these are enough that you could hang these up in your house during the winter months, and also use them for whatever purpose you want to use them for during the year. And here I am testing out the little lights. So these turned out so cute. Now I want to make sure that I put that little tab back in there so that the batteries, nothing happens to the batteries before they open this up. And then I'm going to continue on embellishing the rest of them, and I'll show you at the final reveal what they look like. They're so cute. Now we're back to our box, and you can see the gaps in the inside. So what I'm going to do is take one of these, making sure my paper fits on the inside, and then what I'm going to do is take one of these packing envelopes that came from Amazon, and I'm going to cut it out just a little bit bigger than my box, and then I'm going to take that, make sure there's nothing that has my address on it, and I'm going to take and wrap this in brown paper. And here I am. I fold in my corners first on my brown paper. It doesn't matter if one side of this is messed up because it's going to fit in the box. And so once I do that, I glue it down into the box, put me some of that torn up, whatever you call it, stuff in there, and then I'm going to take and wrap it up. Now what you see me doing here is I take 2 paint sticks and I take my shrink wrap paper or bag or whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to take and put that between the 2 sticks and clamp it on both ends, and then run the lighter across it, and it seals your bag if you don't have a sealer. Now I'm going to take this ribbon and I'm going to make a bow. I already went around the outside of the box with the ribbon as well because I didn't like the way it sealed up by doing the lighter method, but it works. It kept it sealed. And then I'm going to just make me a bow, and I'm going to staple it right there. Make an awareness bow and then scrunch it down and make you a bow. And then trim off your ends. Now I use double ribbon here because this is velvet on one side and I wanted the velvet to be on both sides. So anyway, I'm not a bow maker. Don't claim to be a bow maker. Y'all don't judge my bow because I know. But somehow I always end up making one and it works. So I cut off these tails because they were getting in my way. And now I know y'all don't judge me because of my bows. I know I'm not good at bows. This is not what I'm good at. But I know how to make it work. Anyway. So anyway, I'm going to put a bow on this. Okay, you guys, here it is, all finished up, getting ready to go to its new home. Now, these ornaments are going to the Ronald McDonald House here in the area that I live in. If you need an address to send some ornaments to, that is in my description box down at the very bottom. And this is an open challenge hosted by Buffiedesigns. This idea was seen on Design to the Nines. Her link is also in our description box below. And the Ronald McDonald House also takes donations, and they're also taking blankets of any kind and any size. Now this is an open challenge, so there is a playlist also in my description box of all the other ladies that are participating in this challenge. Go check them out because there's some very talented ladies, you guys, and we want to thank our host today for bringing this challenge to us. And here we go with DIY number 2. Now, what I'm doing here is I am getting I've got some blocks for the next challenge, plus I've got these 4 little mouse traps that I painted with white. Now I've got these 4 little bears, and I thought because these are going to the Ronald McDonald House, there needs to be a kid ornament in there too. So I took my mouse traps completely apart, painted them. Now what I'm going to do is I saved out those little things that locks them into place, and I'm going to drill a hole through all 4 of these little planks that I got from the mouse traps. Now that is painted with Rust-Oleum Linen White chalk paint, and I'm just going to continue to get all this prepared. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that through the hole. Now I wanted to make it so that it's not going to pop out, and so I'm going to take and stick it in there, and then I'm going to add some hot glue in the hole and add some across the bottom of it, and I'm going to do that to each one of the ornaments. Now once I get those done, I'm going to let that dry. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol, and I want to clean these up really well, and I'm going through and cleaning them with my brush, and then I clean them with a Q-tip using rubbing alcohol to make sure everything's clean, and then I'll wipe them off with a paper towel as well. Now that I've got all my little wires glued into place, I'm going to take a piece of this burgundy ribbon, because it's the ribbon that I had that matched these little bears, and I'm going to also make this so that they could set it out if they wanted to, or they could use it as an ornament. And I'm going to wrap each one of these little planks and go over that little place in the back that where I glued that wire down in the back. Now once I did that, then I put some E6000 and some hot glue on the bottom of my little bears, and I'm going to make sure that they balance out just right on these little planks, so I'm going to glue them towards the back of the little wire. This is really important so that when they hang on the tree, they hang right. Next thing I'm going to do is make a little shoelace bow out of this lighter pink ribbon and glue it to the front of each one of these. Now I'd like to take the time to thank our subscribers for subscribing to our channel. And here we go with DIY number 3. Now this one we took little blocks. These are kids play blocks that they have, and we took out the ones that said A, B, and C. We cleaned the blocks up. We painted them with a fresh coat of chalk paint, used linen white chalk paint, and then we got out our 3 colors of red, blue, and yellow, and we're painting the faces of the ones that say A, B, and C. And then after that, we are going to take, and after all that's dry, we're going to take some Mod Podge, and you can use the one that's luster, and we're going to take and paint the side of it with Mod Podge. Now we're going to stick it and dip it in the glitter there, and if you don't pick up enough glitter, you get some more. And then we're going to do all the sides to each one of these, but the bottom of the letter A you don't want to do. Now the next thing we're going to do, now that we got glitter on all of these, is we're going to put some E6000 down, and we're going to put some hot glue down. Now the top of that letter C, you don't want to put glitter on. The top and the bottom of the letter B, you don't want glitter on. And then the bottom of the A, you don't want glitter on because it makes these stick together. Now I made a mistake on that C, and so I'm going to have to work with it. And then I'm going to press these together, and then I'm going to add my letter A at the top. You guys, this is going to make such a cute ornament. It is a little bigger ornament than what I would normally make for a tree, but oh, this was so cute, and I thought the kids would love it. And I thought that they could sit it in their room with them even after the holidays. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole right down through the letter block A and all the way into the B. And this is so that I can use one of those little mousetrap wires as my hanger. And then you're going to want to put some E6000 glue down in the hole, and you're going to want to put some hot glue on that as well. Now after that was dry, I took and put a little gingham ribbon on this, and I'm gluing it down to a couple of spots so that the ribbon stays in place so that you can read the letters. And I thought this turned out so cute. Isn't that cute? Oh my gosh. And you guys, here's all the other places you can find us on social media, and here's the final reveal. Now this is the back side of our first ornaments we made, and I put a magnet on there so they can hang it on the refrigerator, and that's one with the lights on. Oh man, aren't these cute. And there it is, all boxed up, ready to go to its new home. And here's our little bears. Now I did not notice that these little bears had boo-boo patches on them. Some of them are on their feet, and some of them are on their arms, and these are so cute, you guys. And I really like them. I really love them. They're so cute. And here's our little blocks. Now I did go back and touch those up. Today's ornament or challenge is brought to us today by Buffiedesigns. It's called Ornaments with a Meaning, and there's a playlist in our description box below of all the different links that you need to find to the Ronald McDonald House, to Design to the Nines, and to Buffy's, and to the playlist of all the other ladies and gentlemen that are participating in this challenge. Go check them out. They're very talented. Alright, you guys, we're back from the craft desk. These things are so cute. Now, you would not believe that these were, if you saw these like this, that they were made out of sterile Petri dishes, mini blinds, and the hanger is a mousetrap. Nobody would know. How would they know? They won't know. You guys, we had fun with you here today at the Crafty Art Shack. We hope you've enjoyed our videos, and thank you to all of our subscribers. We love you bunches, and we are so glad that you watch our videos, because sometimes I can't even get through making the intro and the exit without messing it up 20 times. You guys have a great day. Check out those ladies on the playlist. It is an awesome playlist. Check out Buffy's Designs and Designs to the Nine. And we'll see you in the next episode of the Crafty Art Shack. We'll see you later. Bye.
Spending our time with you guys have a great day. Thank you to all your subscribers. Something else. Yeah, it sure is. We finished them. We sure did. Like you didn't know that. Yeah, I forgot what I was saying again. We'll see you in the next episode of the Crafty Art Shack. We'll see you later. Bye.